Welcome to this week's weekly Pan-African News Roundup on the Kente Business Journal. Here we serve you with all the major news headlines across Africa and the African diaspora. My name is Rahel Lakusia Redua Opoku. In our headline stories, Nigerians had to vote for new state governors. Our Nigerian central bank has extended timeline to swap out old currency. And in sports, Gianni Infantino has been re-elected as FIFA president. Now the news in details. Nigerians are voting in delayed elections to pick new governors on Saturday, 18 March, with many focusing on the race in Lagos and the conduct of the Electoral Commission after criticism of its handling of last month's disputed presidential election. The Independent National Electoral Commission is under scrutiny after observers from the European Union, the Commonwealth and other bodies reported several problems during last month's voting. Governors wield enormous influence in Africa's most populous nation of more than 200 million, and their support often decides who become president. Some governors preside over states whose annual budgets are bigger than some small African countries. Voters will choose governors in 28 of 36 states. However, new state assemblies will be elected in all the states. Nigeria's central bank has extended the timeline to swap out its old currency for redesigned note after the change triggered a cash shortage, forcing businesses to close and leaving millions unable to withdraw their money. The Central Bank of Nigeria announced late Monday that the old notes of 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira will remain legal tender until December 31. Bank spokesman Issa Abdul Mumin said the extension was meant to comply with a directive from the country's Supreme Court, which ruled that the program's implementation broke the law. On Tuesday, both old and redesigned notes were still not available for thousands queued at banks in Nigeria's capital of Abuja. There's been a cash shortage since early February because not enough redesigned notes had been printed to replace the old ones in the cash-reliant country. Analysts have accused authorities of poorly implementing the policy in Africa's largest economy, where digital payment services are usually not reliable and only 45% of adults have a bank account, according to the World Bank. The cash crisis has cost the Nigerian economy an estimated 20 trillion naira, or $43 billion, because of the crippling of trading activities, the stifling of the informal economy and contraction of the agriculture sector, the Lagos-based Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises said in a statement. According to figures released this Wednesday by Statistics South Africa, retail sales in the country fell 0.8% year-on-year in January after falling by a revised 0.5% in December. On a month-on-month basis, sales increased 1.5%. The numbers are relevant as they offer an insight into consumer demand in Africa's most industrialized economy. Sales in the 3 months to the end of January were down 0.2% compared with the same period last year, the statistics agency said. South Africa's economic growth outlook is bleak this year, with crippling power cuts seen keeping inflation high. One of the most popular buys for people marking Ramadan in Egypt is a locally manufactured ornate traditional metallic lantern. Their production begins at least 2 months before the start of the holy month, with the different workshops each known for making them in a specific shape or style. But just over a week to go until the start of the holy month, traders in Old Kairou's Sayyida Zainab district says sales are slow. One workshop owner said the huge rise in the cost of raw materials has meant that producers have had to pass on the increase to buyers. With inflation spiking and food prices soaring, Egypt faces one of the most serious economic crises in its history. Many Egyptians have had to opt for lower-priced Chinese or plastic lanterns and cut back on food purchases and many of Ramadan's other special treats. Zambia's finance minister said this Wednesday that the country is working hard with creditors, including China, in order to agree to a debt restructuring by the end of March or shortly afterwards. According to Situmbeku, China, Zambia's largest bilateral creditor, was being engaged on the debt restructuring with bilateral engagement on an almost weekly basis. Zambia's external debt stood at $14.87 billion at the end of 2022 in June. Chinese lenders accounted for almost $6 billion of debt at the end of 2021, according to government data. Zambia was the first African country to default on its sovereign debt during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, but the restructuring of its external debt to creditors, including China and Eurobond holders, has been greatly delayed. And in Mozambique, Cyclone Freddy, one of the most powerful storms ever recorded in the southern hemisphere, has killed over 300 people in Malawi after ripping through southern Africa for the second time in a month. The district announced the commercial hub of Blatter was among the hardest hit. Severe flooding and rain damaged roads and bridges, hampering relief operations. Freddy has also left a trail of destruction in Mozambique, where it made landfall over the weekend. More than 22,000 people there were seeking shelter away from their homes. As heavy rains continue to pummel the country, sources say about 584 people have been injured and over 37 are still missing. The British Interior Minister Suella Braverman will visit Rwanda this weekend to discuss an argument where Britain will relocate migrants who arrive without permission as she doubles down on a plan that has been mired in legal challenges and controversy. Britain agreed to send tens of thousands of migrants more than 4,000 miles away to Rwanda as part of a £120 million deal last year, though no flights have taken off as opponents challenged the policy in the court. The partnership is a major part of Britain's plans to detain and deport asylum seekers arriving in small boats across the channel, a proposal some charities say could be impractical and criminalize the effort of thousands of genuine refugees. Braverman will meet Rwandan President Paul Kagame during the trip and said that the removal of migrants to Rwanda could be put into action shortly. Braverman has defended her approach, describing her opponent as naive do-gooders. After a record 45,000 migrants arrived in Britain last year on small boats, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said that finding a solution is one of his top priorities. And in sports, Gianni Infantino has been re-elected for a third term as FIFA president at its first Congress ever held in Africa in Rwanda on Thursday. The question of racism in sports as well as human and workers' rights during the World Cup in Qatar and the slaughter of African countries in future World Cup competitions were some of the concerns raised. The FIFA president Infantino said FIFA would continue to review the transfer system to improve transparency and promised to continue serving FIFA and football around the world.
And that's it for this week's weekly Pan-African News Roundup on the Kente Business Journal. Kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the notification bell to stay updated always. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. Catch you next weekend.
Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel Kente Business Journal TV and press the notification bell to stay updated always.